Hello again, we're back, it's another Thursday. It's still me, still here doing these videos. And what's going on today? Yeah, the main reason I wanted to do this now actually, this is a good example of something, is I enjoy doing these selfishly because it gives me a chance to kind of brain dump or get stuff out of my head. So, you know, if you journal or if you, I suppose, talk to a colleague or talk to a co-founder or talk to your partner or whatever, you know, maybe you do that to unload things or try and clear your mind. And honestly, I found doing this at a certain point in the day helps me do that. So for example, I don't really have a lot booked in for today. In fact, I don't have my afternoon planned, which is unusual. I like to do that in the morning, like first thing, but I don't have client work to do today. It's a 3 or 4 hour open window for me to do essentially whatever I want in relation to the business. So I want to make the most of the time. I've got about 2 hours booked in to do some work on a newsletter I'll send either today or tomorrow. But other than that, it's a pretty open day. So I want to make the most of it, but equally, I kind of just want to also see what comes up for me. So I think that's probably a good example of where there's anything of about 30 things I could do right now. I mean, if I start writing down a list, which I might do after this actually, if I start writing down a list of what can I do to help my business or help grow my business today, it'll be a long list, but it's just a case of picking which one thing I want to put energy into, because the reality is I don't care what people say. I mean, well, actually, for me personally, I think it's important that I just pick one thing, you know, and just focus on it. Maybe you could, depending on the thing, you might not need that much time to do something else, but at least in the past, I feel like I overcomplicate things for myself by trying to do too much, and I've touched on that already in a few videos ago. But ultimately, pick a thing for this afternoon that's going to help me grow my business, and that's a question I ask myself most days. I should really ask it every day. What am I going to do today to grow my business? It's a piece of advice I received a few years ago from someone who was doing just that at the time. And I think it was a challenge. Back then it was a challenge I always struggled with because I wasn't actually really running my own business. I had a senior role in a business that I was maybe a key part of, but I didn't own it. And it feels very different when you actually own it. And this is something I've talked about, and I think it'll keep coming up. You could have 40% equity in something, and I don't think it would feel the same as properly owning it. Maybe you could have 40% and there was one other person that was majority owner, is what I mean by that. I think you need to either have a majority stake or you need to have an equal stake in something with other people. But if there's someone that has a higher percentage of a business than you don't own it technically, in my mind. So yeah, anyway, in the past I didn't really think in these lines, and then when I started FlexOps, I was like, wait a minute, you know, I needed to be doing things that are growing the business. How do I pick what those things are? And yeah, make sure I actually do them. So today is very much a doing those things day. As I alluded to yesterday, there's like somewhere between 12 and 15 actions I need to take in relation to my pipeline. Each one of those actions will probably take between 15 and 30 minutes. So those will be done over the course of the next week. I'll chip away at that, which is good. But this is now going to be a chance. I think what I'll probably do today is, I don't really have a pitch deck, so to speak, and I don't necessarily need one. But what I'd love to do, and I think what would be valuable, would be, I'm going to create like, I suppose, a mini website or a Notion board that you can publicly access that allows you to get a feel for me as a person, how I'd work with you, and then also a glimpse at the business. And why I think that's better than a pitch deck, it's something you can interact with a bit more. I know there are tools and platforms you can use that allow you to do that. You know, I suppose create a presentation that you can interact with and things like that. But I think the Notion board allows you to just immerse yourself in it a bit more than some other things. And yeah, I've got a few ideas for what I'll do there. But I suppose it's a form of a pitch deck that I want to put together for the business that I can share to people who ask for more information. And to be honest, that I can also just put on my LinkedIn and probably put on the website as a resource that people can use to learn more about me and FlexOps. So I'm going to do that. I won't finish it, so I want to be clear on what doing that actually means. I might just record the video piece of it, to be honest. There's a couple of videos for it I want to do. But other than that, plus the newsletter writing I need to do, it'll take a couple of hours, and hit send on that tonight or tomorrow. That'll be a recap of January, as I mentioned. A recap of January in the sense of, of the LinkedIn posts I did. I think I averaged about 2 a week in January. Of the ones I did, what were the most popular or most interesting topics? I might pick 1 or 2 of them and just flesh them out a bit. So that's what's coming up there. Anything else on my mind? Really a couple of interesting calls yesterday. I said this last week. January was phenomenal for me. January was a record-breaking month when it comes to sales calls and intro calls. Some really interesting people with great businesses. I'm quietly confident I'll work with some of these people, whether it's next month or in 6 months' time. So it's just a case of I suppose, trying to get them onto the next stage of doing a discovery session, which I think is quite likely to happen in a couple of cases, which is brilliant. And in a couple more cases, as I discussed with someone recently, I probably just need to be a bit better with closing those over and getting them over the line. So yeah, that's probably the other key thing. Do I have anything else on my mind in the calendar? This is my computer screen. As you can see, it's unnecessarily massive. I don't know why I have this, to be honest. It seemed like a good idea at the time, but I don't need it. That's probably it. Like, I booked in by tomorrow. We'll have mapped out pretty much what I'm doing with all clients in February. This week and next week are going to be fairly quiet in the client front, which is nice. End of February is going to be really busy with visits to Glasgow, London, and then I'll be over in Galway for a couple of days. All being well, before then I'll have had maybe someone, I think one of the agencies that wants to do a discovery session will be coming to Dublin, so that'll be good fun. To have someone here, I can be like a host, I can take them to a really nice lunch or something. Who knows? Probably not. We'll probably just grab a sandwich somewhere, and yeah, that's kind of it. So again, as you can probably sense, well, I would sense if I was watching this, things are going well. Like I always talk to people in terms of what pace is your business moving at and what pace do you want it to move at. I would like it to move a little bit faster, and that requires me to turn up the dial on it a little bit, and that's the type of thing like what I'm doing today. Like, can I ramp up the pace at which maybe I do things, or at which I bring some business in the door? Yeah, I think I can. But beyond that, with clients, it's going really nicely. Again, I don't want to move too fast for some clients and too slow for others, so it's kind of a balancing act. But overall, I'm in a good place with it, and it's just a case of executing stuff every day. And I wrote it down for myself, but a lot of the time it just feels like it's a case of showing up and doing work. I mean, it's not that difficult in that sense. I think we can add layers of complexity to our own lives if you're running your own business just because you feel like you need to. But in reality, it's just like a job. You're just doing some things towards something bigger. So if you were employed at a business to do account management, you would do 4 or 5 key things. I run a business that does X. Well, I do 4 or 5 key things towards that. And of course there are smaller things that come with running a company, but yeah, they are smaller. So the key focus for me is on providing a certain service to people. Just in the same way, if I was account managing 30 accounts at a bigger company, that would be my focus. So yeah, not too dissimilar in some ways to just having a job, but probably a bit more stressful in some ways, I guess. So anyhow, that's it. That's what's coming up for me this lovely Thursday. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the weekend. There's plenty on personally, which is exciting, and tomorrow should be a good one. I've got a few things lined up, so that's it really. I will call it a day on that one, I think, and get stuck into creating some pitch deck or something like that.